Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool are taking on Swansea City at the Liberty Stadium on Monday night in the Premier League. And the big news, the big talking point going into the game is that Jurgen Klopp has confirmed that Loris Karius will not only be Liverpool's starting goalkeeper in this match, but will also now be our #1 goalie between now and the end of the season. It seems that Klopp has basically just decided that Mignolet, he's had enough chances to prove himself in goal. His last chance has now been and gone, and he's just been thrown in the bin, and will probably, it's looking very likely now, that Mignolet will be out of the door and leaving the club in the summer transfer window. And it is now Loris Karius' chance to prove that he can hold down that #1 goalkeeping position between now and the end of the season and going into the next few seasons as well, because it's highly likely with Mignolet going that Liverpool will bring in at least one new goalie in the summer. And I think if Loris Karius doesn't prove himself over the next few months, it's possible that we may bin him off as well and get in another goalie as backup to whoever else we bring in the summer as well. So it is a huge opportunity for Loris Karius. He has to prove himself. Personally, I'm not super convinced by Loris Karius. He's never been really that consistent. He always makes the odd mistake. I don't think he's as bad as people made out last season when he ended up getting dropped from the side because of he supposedly could not handle the pressure of the Premier League. And I think it will be interesting to see him get an extended run in the team, because obviously he hasn't had that at the club since the early stages of last season when he eventually ended up getting dropped. With the fact that he's going to actually be playing week in, week out for the next few months, he's actually got a proper opportunity now to prove himself. And like I said, I'm not super convinced. I can't really see him doing that. Personally, I'd like to see Liverpool upgrade on their goalkeeping position, but it's entirely possible that Loris Karius could be absolutely brilliant. He could blow us away. He could show what Jurgen Klopp actually sees him in as Liverpool's #1 goalkeeper between now and the end of the season. So just fingers crossed that he puts in some decent performances until then. So in terms of other team news, it looks like Van Dijk, Salah and Moreno are all going to be fit and available for this game. Moreno has just been making his comeback from, I think it was an ankle injury, just about missed out on the Man City game, but he has been in full first team training for a while now, and I think he'll be available for this match. Mo Salah had a little bit of an illness, apparently. I think Jurgen Klopp's just being a little bit cautious with him, because obviously without Phil Coutinho, Mo Salah is now definitely Liverpool's best player. You know, there's an argument for Roberto Firmino as well, but Mo Salah is still a hugely high quality player for the club to have, and the idea of him getting injured is absolutely terrifying. So I think with the fixture list calming down a little bit as well, it makes sense to occasionally, if there's just a tiny little risk or a niggle, just leave your player out of training for a little bit, let him have a rest, and he will hopefully come back stronger. So I think Mo Salah, he is going to be fine for this game, fingers crossed. And then Van Dijk as well should be absolutely fine. Obviously missed the Man City game with, I think it was a thigh strain. We didn't want to risk him. We didn't want to risk another injury after he had one at the end of last season that kept him out for months and months. But he should be okay for this game. And elsewhere, Henderson has been back in training. I'm not sure if he's in like complete full first team training, but he is back on the training pitch. He looks like he's nearing the end of his rehabilitation from injury, but I think this game is just going to come a wee bit too soon for Jordan Henderson. So onto the actual lineup, how I think Liverpool are going to start the game against Swansea. Obviously, like I said, Loris Karius in goal, very big opportunity for him. Obviously didn't impress too much against Man City, made a mistake I think with the first Man City goal where he just doesn't have a good positioning and starting position at all for Leroy Sané's shot. And this is another big opportunity for him, you know, against Swansea, the kind of game where you'd actually be expecting him to get a clean sheet. So fingers crossed that he can do that. And onto the back line, I think it's going to be Alexander-Arnold at right back. I get the feeling Joe Gomez is just going to get a little bit of a rest. You know, he's been making a few more errors recently than he was earlier on in the season. And I think some of that is down to just playing a lot of games at a very young age. So I think he's going to get a rest for this one. Alexander-Arnold will come in, you know. He's a good footballer. He deserves some games. He played against Swansea at Anfield last month, so he knows how to play against them. He's perfectly good enough to play against Swansea City, so I think he will come into the side. Centre-back pairing, I think it's going to be Matip and Van Dijk. Obviously, Van Dijk coming straight back into the side, I think, after missing the Man City game. Lovren was all right against Man City, but Virgil van Dijk is Virgil van Dijk, so he has to start, and Joel Matip is okay as well. You know, it's possible that Lovren and Van Dijk could be the partnership, potentially even Van Dijk and Ranjær Klavan. Ranjær Klavan's been quite impressive over the last few games, but I just reckon it's going to be Matip and Van Dijk going with the same centre-back pairing that played in the Merseyside derby in the Cup. And then I think Robertson is going to complete the back four. Obviously, Moreno is back. He is available for Liverpool. Liverpool, but Robertson has been absolutely fantastic over the last few games. He was brilliant in the Merseyside derby. He was incredible against Man City, and it would just be so unfair to drop him out of the side now after those brilliant performances. So I think Robertson will play in this game. And then the midfield, I reckon it's going to be Emre Can at the base in that number 6 role. And then either side, I reckon Klopp will actually go with Lallana and Oxlade-Chamberlain. At first, I thought it might be Wijnaldum and Oxlade-Chamberlain, you know, going with the same midfield that played against Man City and did very well against them. But I just think against Swansea, you don't really need the defensive presence of Gini Wijnaldum. Obviously, Wijnaldum has still got a little bit about him going forward, but he does kind of play that box-to-box role, and he did it so well against Manchester City, and it would kind of be a little bit mean to drop him out the side after such a good performance, but we just don't really need that quality of player, and Swansea will probably end up being very, very difficult to break down in this game. So I think having those two attacking presences in midfield with Oxlade-Chamberlain and Adam Lallana, you know, Oxlade-Chamberlain now has the capacity to drift wide because of that. Adam Lallana can play through the centre a little bit more, and I just think having that extra attacking player in the midfield should hopefully help Liverpool get past what may end up being a stubborn Swansea defence. And then the front three, it picks itself, doesn't it? Mo Salah, Roberto Firmino and Sadio Mane, no questions asked there. So Swansea then, they've had a little bit of a mixed run over the last few games since they last played Liverpool. I think it's actually only been 3 Premier League games since we played them at Anfield on Boxing Day. But since then, Swansea have now got a manager, which, you know, immediately stands them in better stead than they were when they came to Anfield with, I think it was Leon Britton as their caretaker manager. And since then, they have won 1 game, drawn 1 game, and lost 1 game. So I think they're still struggling to find their feet a little bit. You know, like I said, they're obviously in a much better position with a manager. They had that win against Watford, which obviously will have boosted their confidence hugely. They lost to Spurs, which is kind of, you know, it's fine. Spurs are a very good footballing side. And then they had a draw with Newcastle, which I think is the kind of game that really, being in a relegation battle, they would have liked to have won. So they're still finding their feet a little bit. It will be interesting. They're kind of an unknown quantity at the moment because we don't really know much about what Carlos Carvajal's actually going to achieve at the club. But at the end of the day, for me, you look at their personnel and then you look at the players that Liverpool have got, and you've just got to say that we have got better players than them at the end of the day. So hopefully Liverpool should beat Swansea, and here are my 3 reasons why. First of all, I think the presence of Virgil van Dijk in the Liverpool defence should be absolutely huge in helping that the defence is just so much more organised than it has been earlier on in Jurgen Klopp's reign as Liverpool manager. Joel Matip was talking before the game, after the Man City match, about how focus is the most important thing for Liverpool in this game. You know, they lost their focus a few times against Man City. They were punished for it every single time, with Man City scoring 3 goals, all of which were kind of just from our defence switching off a little bit and ending up being all at sea. And especially in a game against Swansea, where they aren't going to get forward as much as Man City do, it's so important that our defence just stays switched on all the way through and is alert to absolutely everything. And I think the presence of Van Dijk is so important to that, because he is a leader. He is a commander from the back. He tells his fellow defenders what to do. He tells the goalie what to do as well. And that is hugely important. You know, it's the kind of thing Jamie Carragher did. It will just hopefully keep those defenders awake, keep them alive to everything that's going on, and keep them disciplined. And that is so important in a game like this, when they could easily just switch off and allow Swansea to get in behind them without them even really realising. So I think Van Dijk will be huge for Liverpool. Hopefully he will help our defence improve. Hopefully we can keep a clean sheet, and that will help us win the match. And second of all, I think Robbie Firmino is going to be massive for Liverpool in this game. I said earlier on in the video that I think Mo Salah is still kind of Liverpool's best player, certainly in terms of, you know, end product and just sheer quality. He is so good for us. But Bobby Firmino just has something about him. He has that quality that just makes him perfect for Liverpool, and I think he will be big for us in this game, because like I said, I expect Swansea to sit back a little bit. I think they're going to try and hit us on the break and try and catch us out in that way, and they will probably look to defend for most of the match. And I think Roberto Firmino will be important in just breaking down that defence. You know, he moves around so well, he wins the ball back so well, he pulls defenders this way and that. He's not a conventional number 9 in that he doesn't just play down the middle. He likes to drift wide as well, and that allows the wingers to come in. So I think that will just be hugely important for Liverpool in this game, in unsettling that Swansea defence and hopefully helping us to find a way past them. And finally, like I said earlier on, Liverpool just have better players than Swansea. You know, it's basically been accepted as a given that Liverpool will win this game. I think as Liverpool fans, we're not really taking it like that. Neutrals obviously look at the 2 teams on paper and say Liverpool are better than Swansea. Liverpool will win. We obviously know that Liverpool aren't always brilliant at just beating the teams that they should beat, but that is something that we've improved on over the last few months. We've got better at it this season. We had a little bit of a wobble in September, but since then we've been very good at just looking at teams that aren't as good as us and saying, okay, let's just win this game. Certainly over the last month as well, and I'm hoping that with this Liverpool side now comfortably-ish in the top 4, we will now just start winning these kind of games week in, week out. So that is all for today's video. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. I'll be back later with the FIFA 18 prediction show for this match, so do stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then hit that button there. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll see you soon for the FIFA prediction show. Bye for now.